This is a good
Jake, are you
YouTube
there?
clip.
Yes, I'm here. Is this any better?
Yes.
Yeah, it's better.
Yeah, Praise wants to
Yeah, buckle in. You're about to debate.
he wants to humiliate and destroy you on the Trinity. Are you ready?
So, Praise, you're not taking my advice that I gave you the other day?
As far as citing people, yeah, I agree with you on that.
No, not citing, just actually taking some time out, doing a bit more research, trying to, go through your view systematically and really understand it well before you start debating these things publicly.
Yeah, I propose, maybe in the future after Matt that I would have a one-on-one sort of debate discussion with you, and someone's like, "I'll do it now," and I mean, I'm not afraid to talk about the Trinity now, but if it's still, Jake, that I'm going to reference that paper, with the three discrete particulars, and I think you would probably need to kind of go through that and comb through it to kind of get my understanding of the Trinity. But have you combed through it yet?
Yeah, but Praise, you do understand that several of the different things you cited are actually different models of the Trinity, and some of them are mutually exclusive?
I would say they're compatible with each other. I wasn't saying they're exactly the same. I was proposing two different models that would work, two different understandings of it. I wasn't like claiming they're identical or anything. So
Kind of like the persons in God. They're not identical, but something's going on.
yeah, it's I do like the three selves too. If maybe like I have a hybrid in there too. I'm not trying to go full orthodox either. I'm trying to find the most accurate understanding of the Trinity as well. So I'm kind of between those two models, working through both of those.
So you're willing to accept a heretical view? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and like, well, maybe not a biblical heretical view, but under like the councils of like Nicaea, if it's heretical to that, yes.
Okay. So I was talking to a guy, Pedro. I don't know if you heard that discussion.
I
So
did.
yeah, I don't know what you thought, but Praise, what is your view in terms of the wills? Do you believe there's one will in the Trinity or three?
I believe there's one shared will, yes.
So there's only numerically one will. There's not three. That's what you're
Amen.
saying.
Yes.
Okay. Why do you hold to that view?
Because Jesus is subservient to the Father's will, so that he automatically would be proposing that will. Like, it's not like he and in the persons in the Trinity, like the what's the best way to put this, the economy. So the economy, like, still Jesus would still comport with the Father's will, but then the Holy Spirit just reflects the Father's will anyway.
Yeah, but
So
what about the passages in the Gospels that make a distinction between Jesus's and the
yeah,
Father's will, for example?
I would
Like
say
not
that
my
the
will, but your will.
exactly. So I would say that would be his human will as a human being. See, for him to be a true human being, he would need to possess a human will, which would be distinct from his divine will. Which the divine will, I say, is one will.
So Praise, did you hear that in the discussion that I had with Pedro?
I didn't hear all of it, but if you wanted to enlighten me, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying because
No,
that's
I
kind of
didn't.
what I
No.
was mentioning in that discussion. So, what would you say about someone that believes that Christ only had one will?
Like a unified one will. Like if two wills become meshed together as one will. Is that what you're saying?
In other words, do you believe Christ had one will or two wills when he was incarnate?
Well, I think that's the mystery of the hypostatic union, that they come together into one will. So his human will was, I hate to use these words like spliced, or I'm trying to use the right verbiage here. Like they come together, mesh together. His divine will and his human will, they operate together. Just so he doesn't like say, "Hey, human will, I'm going to think now," and "Hey, divine will, I'm going to think now," like, and do this. They're together, if that makes sense, infused together.
Otherwise,
So
it'd be
they're
two persons.
not distinct, is what you're saying.
No. Well, I mean, what do you mean by distinct? Like, do you mean nature, like the nature of the will, or?
In other words, in the same way that the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit have numerically one will, is that
Mhm.
true for Christ in his incarnate state? Meaning that he has one will, numerically one will in the incarnate state, and the as you're explaining that the human nature and the divine nature of Christ share numerically one will.
So they're numerically not one will, but they're ontologically one will.
What the hell does that mean? If they're ontologically one will, how are they not numerically one will? I don't know what that means.
So as I was explaining, they come infused together. When he became a human being, both natures came together, and they make one unified will, a
What do you mean
composite will.
that?
If you want to say it,
What do you mean that the
mhm.
natures came together? What do you mean by that?
You ever seen
His
Dragon Ball
human
Z?
nature and divine nature.
Yeah, they came together, but because when you're describing the wills, you're saying that you literally use the word splice, like they kind of mix
Well,
together in that
infuse,
sense.
yeah, and
Infuse.
infuse, if you want to, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just wondering how you're making that type of statement, though, because that seems to be unorthodox.
I don't know how it's unorthodox. Like he's
Because
a
you,
true. He has two human natures that make one. I'm sorry. He has two natures that make one nature, one unified nature. I'm not sure what you mean.
no, because the hypostatic union is not that the two natures became one nature. It's that Christ was one person with two natures, and they remained distinct. They were not mixed or mingled together. To say that they are in the way that you're describing the wills is the heresy of Eutychianism, and that was declared
Hmm.
heretical at Chalcedon in 451. So I don't know how you could say that. Seems like a heretical view.
Um. Yeah, I'd like to see a citation for that, because I don't. I would disagree with that sentiment. I don't know what Trinitarian or a Trinitarian scholar would say that there were two separate, distinct, like a composite will. I would disagree with that,
Yeah,
but maybe you're right. I'll have to look into it.
not. I mean, not only is that true with the wills, it's also true with the natures, because you literally said that the two natures become one composite nature, and that's certainly not true. And you're asking for a citation. I just gave it to you. Unfortunately, I'm driving at the moment. I don't know if anybody else wants to pull it up, but you're free to pull it up. Just go to the
Yeah.
Creed of Chalcedon. You just go to the Creed of Chalcedon in English, and read it. There's a clear um, attack on Eutychianism in the language that it says, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't have it in front of me, but basically that the natures do not mix or mingle. They remain separate and distinct, even though one Christ. So there's one person, one and the same Son with two distinct natures and two distinct wills. They don't mix or mingle. That's the hypostatic union. Although the two wills are not mentioned explicitly in Chalcedon, they're mentioned explicitly in the Third Council of Constantinople in 681, and that was the distinction between diotheletism and the idea that Christ had one will, which is monothelitism or monothelitism. So
Right.
Yeah, but if you're going back to just Chalcedon, it's very clear the idea of the two nature language. In fact, the idea that Christ was said to only have one composite nature was deemed heretical at that council. That's the whole
Yeah,
idea of what's.
your view.
I can't hear. Is it just me or is somebody
Is
speaking
that
breaking
John
up?
More
Lee?
data. He needs more data on his phone. He's fine. Just ignore him.
Right.
Yeah,
And we
John, you got to
kind
get
of
out of the
shift,
Prius, dude.
yeah. And we kind of
No, but so
shifted off
here's what I'm
focus,
saying.
so yeah, I'm sorry, go
Yeah,
ahead.
no, just real quick. Yeah, that heresy is the idea of monophysitism, which is the idea that Christ only had one nature, mono and physite, so one nature.
No,
So,
I never said there was numerically only one nature. I said there was two natures that came together,
yeah, but
and
you said came together and formed a composite nature, one composite nature.
right. So it's not numerically one though. It's one it's a unified nature. That I think that's, to me, really simple. I don't think that should be problematic. But and I think we kind of shifted off because I mean, what we were talking about. Originally we were talking about the nature of the divine Trinity, but then we kind of went into the hypostatic union. So the hypostatic union is still kind of cloudy to me. I'm not really. I mean, I can get into that. I'm not. I mean, that's a whole nother discussion. But I'd like to rather focus on we were talking about originally was
Yeah.
really the nature of the Trinity. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that. I'm just explaining how they're related because of your understanding of the wills. I just wanted to see whether or not you had an orthodox view, but when you're explaining it by the splicing of the wills together and forming a single composite nature and things like that, it doesn't seem like you're using orthodox language with respect to the incarnation. But we can go back to the Trinity if you want.
Or yeah, just thinking like I'll even change that word to infused. Yeah, I think that's a better word. But yeah,
That's right
let's
either.
so like as far as I like you had your discussion you said earlier with the guy was talking about being and persons. So do you disagree with that?
Do I disagree with what? Which part of what he said?
So
Because it was a long discussion. So
he was talking about like human beings. We To be a human is to be like a particular that would instantiate like personhood. But then if you have a collective group of humans, that would be beings that possess being. So you would agree there's a distinction there, right?
that there's a distinction between being and person in that context. Is that
Yes.
what you're asking?
Yeah. Yes.
Um, yeah, I'm willing to grant that. Sure.
So I don't understand your objection in the Trinity because you recognize there is a distinction between person and being. And I just don't know where your qualm is. What's your qualms then with the Trinity? I don't get your objection.
Yeah, there's no contradiction in saying that there's one being and three
You
persons.
have to
Your
start
break
over. You
is
I
the
roboted.
think
VM.
this
You
is
roboted.
something that
Start
Dark
over.
was actually
You
mentioning
gotta
with the
start over. You
cube.
roboted.
Can, can
Better,
you hear me
yeah.
now? Okay. Um, yeah, so I was saying that there's no problem intrinsically with the idea that you have one thing that has three aspects or three parts or anything like that. I could have an object like my phone that says, just for simplicity's sake, that has three parts. There's nothing contradictory about that. So the idea that there's one being in three persons, that statement itself is not necessarily contradictory if you use the terms that way. However, uh, the the conflict comes, and that's what, as I mentioned earlier, Dale Tuggy calls the first move that the Christian apologist makes. Well, there's this distinction between being a person. Well, yeah, fine, but what's the relationship between them? And that's when the conflict comes in, and I don't think you're really clear on that.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, this is what I understand so far, but this is why I think we need to make this discussion needs to go a little bit longer, like, because remember that paper, I do think that there's things that need to be laid out in that paper, like for you to address, and like to see what your objections to, his paper between the three discrete particulars with the genus and species. So I mean, of course the essence would be the species and the genus would be the persons, and that is like classical Orthodox Christianity. So I mean, I think it kind of hinges on this paper, to be honest, and then how you respond to that might, really determine whether, as far as my position anyway, how I understand it, would be an error or something like that.
Um, so you said a lot there. So let me just ask you this: have you actually read the paper, Priest?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't like went through it fine tooth and comb, but I have like briefly went through it. Yes.
So hand on the Bible, have you actually you haven't read the full article, correct?
I've read the full article, hand on the Bible, but I have not like comprehended it like with full data, like to have like a full overview of everything. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, gotcha. So then can you just explain the view of the paper and so far as you do understand it and what you think it supposedly solves?
Yeah. So there was a charge that was put forward to the person. I forget who actually proposed this model. I don't know the exact church father or whoever was really doing that, but they did say that they were explaining the distinction between the persons and the essence. It would not
Hmm.
collapse into tritheism due to a misunderstanding of the properties of the persons, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Um, no, I'm not really understanding what you're saying, to be honest with you.
Okay. Well, that's the best I can recap or recapitulate what the paper said. That was in there, and like he says, it does not collapse into tritheism because it was a misunderstanding. So I'd like, we can continue this conversation based on that paper, and then if you could refute that, I think that would be pretty big.
Yeah, but I don't think you're not really giving me anything to work off of what you're describing about the paper, because it just seems to me like you're talking about either a primary and secondary substance, or you're talking about a universal in particular, or how
Right.
is
Yeah.
solving
It's
anything.
the primary is a good model. Like, so what would be wrong with the primary and secondary substance?
Um, so um, let me see the best way to explain it. So I basically I don't think it really solves the you're still having you're still having
You're breaking up there, James.
of what
Sorry.
you call divine. So how are you avoiding that?
Now yeah, better
Can you hear
now.
me? Yeah, I said, how are you avoiding tritheism where there being three gods? Because you're not really explaining how that's functioning on the model.
Like I can't like fully lay out his defense because I don't have the paper in front of me. This is what I'm saying. We need to develop this more. And when maybe how about like in 3 days from now when I have the paper fully comprehended and understood, and then like we can have a discussion on that. Does that sound good, or what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I told you from the beginning. I think you should take some time out and actually understand your view first before we, have a
Well, I
debate or
understand the
discussion or
basics
whatever you
of
want to
it. I
call it.
just Yeah, I understand the basics of it. I just don't like the fully comprehensive part of it. To exhaustively describe what's going on. I just think that takes more time to develop. But people in here, I mean, I wasn't afraid to give a basic outline of my belief, or of the belief that I'm defending. So anyway, that's where it went. Yeah.
I don't
Yeah, I
even
don't
know
think
what
you're. I don't know
Q
what
you're
you're actually
defending.
defending.
I
Yeah,
have
I don't
I,
know. I don't know what you're
I have
defending,
no
Praise.
idea. Like you're
But
like
I don't
I
think you're
hey
afraid.
guys, Hannah. Oh,
Yeah, I'll give you credit for that at least. I don't think you're afraid. I think you're.
John Lee says
I
he
think
can
you're
do a
kind of like
better
Matt
job.
Adams.
So go,
No,
John.
that's right.
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
hear
yeah.
John Lee. Let's hear John Lee.
No, I'm just saying. Yesterday, I'm hearing Pedro with monotheism,
We don't need a recap. Just
and then
go.
Yeah,
you
go ahead.
praise are talking about a blended nature, which is the heresy of Eutychianism, which is what the Council of Chalcedon was supposedly rectified.
Yeah, which I brought up already, John. I don't know if you heard that.
Exactly.
it
Right. I
seems to be a
mean,
pattern with you, Jake. It's like your conversations can never actually even get to the point where you're actually having a substantive discussion. I don't think it's your fault.
John, did you
No,
tap
I
out
mean, I
already?
think it is. I think that with praise, um, for example, the view he was espousing resulted in the Christological heresy. And so that's a big problem. And also, he started off the conversation by saying, well, maybe I don't really care about my view being heretical. So, I mean,
yeah, I don't care about being heretical to a certain group of people back, what is it, like 2,000 years ago in a council. Like, to me, that is pretty trivial. I do care about if it's heretical scripturally. Do you see this? There is a difference there, Jake.
yeah, but you know the actual language that was formalized that you use to express the Trinity, such as being, person, nature, essence, uh, all of these terms, you do realize that they're not actually expressed that way in the Bible and that they were formulated based on a philosophical backdrop of those church fathers who you're basically throwing under the bus.
I would disagree. That hypostasis is used in Hebrews 1:3, so that's not true. Ousia is actually used in several books in the New Testament, so that's not true. I don't understand what you're saying.
Yeah, but where is the idea that there's the Trinity and the Trinity is one essence, three persons, and explaining the relationship between them? There's no detailed um, sort of explanation of that in the Bible, and that's why you have all sorts of different views on the Trinity, from the mere fact that there is no detailed explanation of that.
You mean there's no detailed metaphysical explanation of God? That's what you're
Not
objecting to.
even the Trinitarian formula is mentioned in that way. There's nowhere even which in the word Trinity is referred to as God in the whole Bible, and that's just accepted, which is fine. I'm not using that as an argument, but I'm just saying you're kind of just throwing the tradition under the bus, but you're neglecting to understand that a lot of the language and categories that were used to describe the Trinity and incarnation and these different things were put forward by those people. And you were even
No,
appealing to Peter Abelard the other day on your stream.
well, I completely disagree. Like, the relations of the Trinity, like, see, the Bible describes the Trinity or it's in terms of their relations. It doesn't give a metaphysical breakdown. Like, why would you expect a metaphysical breakdown? Like, are you saying that there's no verses that talk about the relations of the Trinity?
No, I didn't say that, but I'm saying the Trinitarian formula and even the ways in which you're talking about it now is not expressed biblically that way.
Well, it's hermeneutically expressed. It's not again, like you're conflating hermeneutics with metaphysics. I think it's shifting the goalpost to expect a metaphysical breakdown of a trinity or formula rather than a hermeneutical case, which shows that the co-relational or the co-relationships between of the three persons in the Trinity are easily established. There's just no way to
I'm not.
disprove that.
Yeah, I'm not. That's not what I'm disputing, but I think you're kind of missing my point. But anyway, I mean, you can throw everything under the bus if you want. I still don't think it's really going to solve any problem, insofar as you accept the 7 key premises in the argument.
Well, I mean, yeah, Jake, I'm trying to be charitable to you. I'm saying like, yeah, okay, I didn't read I didn't fully read the paper of someone who defended the orthodox formula of genus and
Mm-hmm.
species, and I haven't really heard a refutation from you of that yet. Like you mentioned you understood the terminology because you gave me like all the different terms of this understanding of the Trinity formula. So like what is the refutation of it then? I just like to hear it, then I can double check it in the paper and see if it holds up.
I think Tom also noticed, and I did as well, that you didn't actually explain the view. So it's your job to actually explain the view.
I thought I did. I said that the essence is the species and then the genus would be the persons.
Yeah, and there are 3 instantiations of it, correct?
Correct.
So you have 3 gods.
And that's what I would say the paper refutes that because it was a misunderstanding of the
Yeah, so I'm
metaphysics.
asking you what the misunderstanding is. That's what I'm asking.
Well,
And then you're saying I haven't refuted anything. So, I mean, what do you want me to do?
well, no, but that's okay. So you're objecting this. So what is your refutation again? I'm sorry. Can you outline your refutation again?
Okay, very simply, my refutation is you have 3 particulars, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Each one is fully God, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and they're not each other, meaning they're not identical to each other, correct?
Not identical in their hypostases. Yeah.
Yeah, the persons are not identical to each other. That's why they're 3 persons, right?
Right. And their personhoods. Yes.
Correct. So each one, you have 3 things, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. They're 3 persons. Each one is fully God. So you have 3 gods.
No, because you're talking about, let's see, there's a distinction between common properties and then the specific properties. Like they all share the same attributes as far as omniscience and things like that. So do you understand that, right?
Yeah, that they all have the divine attributes. Yes.
Okay, so that would be common properties of,
Correct.
right. So that'd be the essence. Okay, so then we have the hypos. So the persons hypostasize the essence. Do you understand that part? It's not an addition to. See, here's where you mischaracterize. I didn't catch it before. This is a good time to bring it up. You mischaracterize the Trinity. So the hypostases are not an addition to the essence because it hypostasizes the essence. So do you see that error at least?
No.
Because
What's the error? What's the error?
that you said was an addition to the essence. It
Yeah, it
doesn't.
is an
There's
addition
no
because it's not
addition.
the essence. It's not the essence. The person is not the essence. So how is it not an
The
addition?
persons, yeah, but no, but you're missing the point. The persons hypostasize the essence.
Yeah, so there's 2 different things. If the persons hypostasize the essence, there's 2 things, the person and the essence.
No, the see, this is where I disagree, and I think we have a fundamental disagreement here. I don't see the leap of logic where it requires a separate thing because the essence is hypothesized. You're going to have to explain why it it would read or what's the best way to put this? Like why would it require like an extra thing there? If you want to explain that.
Why would it require an extra thing? What do you mean? The person being different is because it's
The
distinct
persons are
from the
within the
nature.
essence. Yeah, it
Yeah, they
can't be
can be within.
something
It doesn't. It can be within the essence. The point is, they're not the essence, meaning they're not identical to the essence. I'm not saying that they're distinct and that they're separate from the essence or they're in addition to it in the sense that they're external to it. You can picture it any way you want, but they're not identical to the essence. So they're in addition to it in the sense that they're not identical to it. If you want to say that they subsist in the essence, is that the way you understand it?
Yeah, subsistence. Yeah.
Can I chime in briefly? Is that right? I don't
No.
know if this is. No. Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
I mean,
I won't chime in. It's all right.
No.
okay,
Okay.
so they subsist in the essence, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And what exactly is that relationship? Is the essence grounding the persons?
Yeah, it's the fundamental grounding of the persons, yes.
Okay, so none of the persons are ase then.
No, only the Father is ase.
Yeah, but the Father himself is also grounded by the essence.
No, he's not identical to the essence. That's where I would disagree.
Where did I say he was identical to the essence? Praise, are you listening to me talk?
You
You said
you
that
asked
each
me
one of
that
the
before.
persons, let's backtrack. You said that
Yeah.
each one of the persons subsist in the essence. And then I asked, is the essence grounding the persons? And you said yes, which means that that includes the Father as well. So the essence is grounding the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And anything that's grounded by something else is not ase.
And I made the distinction of what is general properties that the essence would be describing properties that are universal to the Godhead. So you're conflating universality and then the discrete particulars.
Okay, dude, let's go back to the point. Okay. Do you agree that anything that is grounded by something else cannot be ase?
Well, like, what do you mean? Like, you talking about metaphysically ase, or you like how do you explain aseity with God?
Well, you said that the persons are grounded by the essence, and grounding typically is
Hmm.
understood, and grounding is typically understood as an asymmetrical dependency relationship. Okay, so whatever grounds something else, right? That thing that is grounding it is not grounded by the thing it's grounding. It's a one-way direction.
But again, like, so I'm just going to give the general properties that all three of them subsist in, which is omniscience, omnipresence, omnibenevolence, and
Mm-hmm.
etc. So those are the properties which the person subsists in. So I think it's pretty simple to see.
Yeah, it's pretty simple to see that on your model, the essence is ase, and none of the persons are. And that's problematic because you want to say that the Father is which is unbegotten, but under your model, the Father is actually begotten
By what?
because he's by the essence. He's grounded by the essence. He's not
He's grounded in
uncalled.
his omniscience and omnipresence and like the omni properties. That's what makes him contingent. I don't understand that. I don't. That to me doesn't follow. It's a non sequitur.
Praise. It's pretty simple. Okay. Imagine like a big circle and let's say that this is the essence. You have three smaller circles within it, which are the persons. And the big circle is grounding the three small circles. And there's an asymmetrical dependency relationship between the essence and the three smaller circles, which are the persons. Anything that's grounded by something else is not ase. You agree to that. So the father wouldn't be ase on your model.
But no, but see, it's a straw man. I'm sorry, you're propping up a straw man because
What's the straw
the
man, dude?
the the straw man is you're missing the difference between the his essential properties and his hypostatic properties, and you keep on conflating them.
Yeah, and I'm
But
saying
they
none
are
of the
still unified.
persons have the property of being ase, only the essence does. And in this case, then not only the son would be begotten, but the father would also be begotten. He wouldn't be unbegotten because he's not grounded.
But the
I mean, because
property,
he's grounded.
okay, but see, because this is where I wish you would like kind of lay out. What do you mean? What is the Can you explain what the property of ase entails?
To be uncaused or to be ungrounded.
I would say that it would be the omni properties. That's aseity.
Where in the hell did you get that definition from, please?
To have the omni properties means that it would entail being self-governed, and it's like you couldn't be self-governed without those properties.
Praise, can you do a quick Google search on aseity?
Yeah, it means self-governed. I know what it means.
Yeah, it means to have
To be
existence in
dependent
and of
on what
one's. It means to have
self-dependence. Yeah.
existence. It means to have existence in and of oneself. In which case, none of the persons do. They have a dependency relationship between themselves and the essence. They're dependent upon the essence.
Dependent on the essence.
Yeah,
No.
you already said that the essence grounds the persons. That's what it means.
Yes,
It's a
they're
asymmetrical
ontological.
dependency relationship.
Yes. Yes, the essence is the ontological grounding of the persons, sure.
Okay, and to be grounded means to be dependent upon the thing that's grounding you.
So do you understand what general properties entail? Like that it's within the universally that they all share, like the shared properties. Do you understand that at least that part of the Trinity, that there are shared properties? And I just hope you can just like relay that back to me and say yes, you know what that means, or you understand that.
Yes, I do, but praise, let me just say this. I think you're a nice guy, but I think every time I'm giving a very clear picture and clear objection to your view, you start to obfuscate and use terms like universality and start going on this tangent that has nothing to do with the uh, objection that I'm actually bringing at that point. And it seems
I
to be a
don't.
pattern now.
I think that you're strawmanning our position. I just think you're not representing it correctly, and I'm trying to show your error in that. You're
Dude,
misunderstanding
I'm
it.
representing exactly what you said. You said that the persons are grounded by the essence. Something that is grounded is not ungrounded. And therefore it's not ase. It's dependent upon the thing that's grounding it. In this case, the essence. You can't have something that is
No, it's not.
grounded on something else
It's
and be ase.
You just admitted that they share the same properties. So what the hell would it be dependent on? It doesn't. You're contradicting yourself.
They don't share the same properties. In this case, they don't share the property of aseity because the essence is ungrounded and the persons are grounded on the essence. So they can't both be ase. Unless you want to say that something that is grounded on something else can also not be dependent. And then you're just contradicting yourself because that's what it means to be grounded on something else is an asymmetrical dependency relation. What
No,
the
it's
hell
a
are you talking about?
symmetrical one. You're misrepresenting us again. Like you keep on conflating the essence with the hypostasis. Like it's getting frustrating, man.
You are
They're
funny,
not
man.
dependent. The persons are not dependent on the ontological properties such as like
Oh boy.
um, omniscience and the other omnipotence, omnibenevolence, all the omnis. There is no dependence there because that's what grounds the persons.
Praise. I think you're kind of tapped out at this point. Um, I don't know if the room is getting. I don't know if the room is getting tired of me repeating the same objection very clearly. I don't really know any other way to say it.
That's fine. I mean,
Um,
if it's fine. I just don't think you're characterizing our position correctly. That's all. And I think you
I
think that. I
asked
just
you
think we're talking
questions.
past
I
each
asked you
other.
questions. I
And I
asked you
answered
questions.
them.
And you gave clear answers. And then when I'm explaining the entailment or the implications of your view, you're denying the entailment. And I'm explaining why it would be contradictory for you to deny the entailment. And then when I point that out, you start bloviating about universality and this and that, and you're mistaking the being with the persons, and you're not understanding
Because
this
you
or
said they're
that.
dependent. They're grounded
Because
in
you
their
said that they're grounded in the
common
essence.
properties. So do you understand there's common properties and then there's the hypostatic properties which are not common? Do you agree
Oh
with
my
that?
God, holy hell. Yes, I agree with that, but that's irrelevant to my point.
Now, can you explain why it's irrelevant? And then I'm going to give a refutation. And if you just disagree, that's just your problem, not mine.
Okay, again, let's make it very simple. You said that the essence grounds the persons. To be grounded by something means to be dependent upon that thing that you're grounded by. And that means that the persons are dependent upon the essence in an asymmetrical fashion, because that's just what it means to be grounded by something. Okay? In which case, none of the persons, because they're grounded and dependent on the essence, can have the attribute or property of aseity. The essence could, but the persons couldn't. And therefore, you talk about universality and common properties does absolutely nothing because in this case, the persons cannot have aseity because they're not independent. They're dependent upon the essence. It's very simple. Now, if you
Okay,
want,
good.
you could start
Yeah.
bloviating.
So I'm going to say that I'm just going to repeat myself that the hypostatic properties of the Trinity have never been expressed with the essence. So I'm not sure why you are appealing to the persons to be the grounding of the essence. I think that's a
I never
backwards way
said
to
that.
look
I said
at it.
exactly the opposite. I said exactly the
Yeah, he said
opposite.
the
You
opposite.
said I said
Hmm.
exactly the opposite, that which is what you said, that the essence grounds the persons. And if the essence grounds the persons, then they can't be independent. Therefore they cannot be ase. You understand, praise? I don't know,
Aseity,
unfortunately, I don't
hold
know
on,
another
hold on.
language to explain it. So
Aseity has never been described in terms of hypostatic properties, so it's a categorical error. You don't know what the
yes,
hell
it
you're
has.
talking about. It's a
Yes, it has.
mischaracterization.
Yes, it has. In fact,
Show me
classically,
one paper. Okay, hold on. Show me one paper where aseity has been described in terms of hypostatic properties. Show me. Just give me one paper or one citation.
okay, very simply. Gregory of Nyssa on Not Three Gods in the 4th century. You want me to pick it up and read
So,
it for you?
yeah, please read it. I like to hear it.
Okay. I'll pick it up on my phone in just a second. But the idea is this, that very clearly Gregory of Nyssa says that the Father is uncaused and the Son and the Spirit depend on the cause, which means the hypostatic property of being uncaused is attributed to the person of the Father, not to the essence or to any of the other persons. Therefore, it's a hypostatic property. Aseity is a property of the person of the Father and not of the nature that is instantiated in the three persons. That's a classical view.
Yeah, I just like if you can somehow give me that
Dude, I
citation,
just had a
whatever.
whole freaking debate with a scholar who did a PhD on the Trinity, in which the debate was, can you have the divine nature without aseity? And his entire argument was, yes, you can, which means, and as he argued, aseity is not a property of the nature. It is a property of the person of the Father. It is a hypostatic property of the Father alone. This is the classical Nicene view of the Cappadocian Fathers.
That would make absolutely no sense, because then you're saying the Father, or the Son, and the Holy Spirit do not have aseity. That's ridiculous. Never has the other two persons of the Trinity ever been described as not having aseity. That's an outright
Oh my God, dude. Okay,
fabrication.
now we
No
gotta go
way.
down this. Okay, now we gotta go down this line of thought. Okay,
And they
so here's
co-indwell.
where.
How does that even work with the perichoresis, Jake? Like, that doesn't make any sense. If they co-indwell each other, then the Son's in the
Oh
Father and the
boy.
Holy Spirit's in the Father. They would share aseity with the perichoresis. There you go. I just debunked your crap right
Okay,
there. Debunked.
okay, praise. Keep going. Let me know when you're done.
I just said the perichoresis destroys your stupid argument.
Okay, so give me 1 second. I'm gonna pull up Gregory of Nyssa on not three gods, since you said that nobody has ever said this. Okay, 1 second here.
Yeah, show me where the aseity of the Trinity, or the aseity of God, is expressed in the persons. I just want to hear that.
Okay, okay. If you give me 1 second, I'll be able to do it for you.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a monarchical view that not everyone holds to, Jake. Divine processions, things like that.
You're saying, hold on a second, John. You're saying that not everybody holds to it. Praise said that nobody holds to it.
Oh, that's
You agree with
not
that?
true. The Eastern Orthodox hold to that.
No, it's not only Eastern
That
Orthodox.
aseity belongs to the Father alone?
Yes.
Correct. Correct. Correct.
Well, I mean, it's self-contradicting, because again, the perichoresis, the Son dwells within the Father. Me and my Father are one. The Holy Spirit reflects, like, it's so simple. They co-indwell with each other. So that objection still doesn't make any sense, or that model just doesn't make any sense.
Why?
Because I just said so. The Son dwells within
No,
the
but
Father and the
you
Holy
praise. You
Spirit.
made a
Yeah.
claim. You made a claim that nobody has held this position.
That so yeah, the aseity of God was a mere one person. I made that claim.
What?
Is that what you're saying? That I'm saying the aseity is grounded. The word grounded. See, there's a distinction there, Jake. In the essence, not the persons. We're talking about grounding. We're not talking.
Yeah.
I mean, it's as far as a model, like a formula. Then I don't know what the church fathers believed. I'm talking about metaphysics right now.
Praise, metaphysically, they believe that the Son is contingent upon the Father.
Yeah, but what does that have to do with aseity, though?
Because if the Son is contingent upon the Father, the Son is not ase.
No, that doesn't follow. No, we're just talking about
Okay. Let me
the
read it for you.
economy.
Let me
Yeah.
read it for you, praise. So this is from Gregory of Nyssa on Not Three Gods. And anyway, I can explain the context if you want, but this is the direct quote. Okay, so he says, if, however, anyone cavils at our argument on the ground that by not admitting the difference of nature it leads to a mixture and confusion of the persons, we shall make to such a charge this answer, meaning to say, people are asking the question, well, if they all have the same nature, how are they not the same person? So now he's going to make a distinction and show you what the distinction between the persons are. That while we confess the invariable character of the nature, we do not deny the difference in respect of cause, and that which is caused, by which alone we apprehend that one person is distinguished from another by our belief. That is, that one is the cause and another depends on the cause. And again, in that which is of the cause, we recognize another distinction. You understand that person is the cause of another person. This is the position.
I'm not denying eternal generation. I believe in eternal generation. So what?
Praise the
Okay,
definition of aseity. It's uncaused. Like you can't have any cause and then have aseity.
Okay, let me explain this. Okay, so this is where we need to explain the ontological trinity and then the economical trinity. The economical trinity is expressed in their relations. They're not expressed in their metaphysical properties. That's the conflation Jake is committing. And this is why you guys don't it's going I don't know why Jake's missing it, but the other Christians in here should be catching this.
praise. I think you're the only one that's probably late to the party that you're missing this. And it's very simple. You just made a claim. And then when I actually read out to you and refuted what you said, oh, but I believe in eternal generation. Well,
No,
eternal
because you're
generation,
conflating.
the
You keep on
eternal
conflating it,
generation
Jake.
The eternal generation is the idea that the property of aseity is ascribed to the Father alone. Why? Because the Son is begotten of the Father. He's eternally caused to exist by the Father. That's the doctrine.
Not in they're
Therefore,
co-equally. No, they are co-equal in their ontological trinity. There is no one
when did
that's
I say that they weren't equal? Where did I say that they weren't equal?
in their ontology. This is what I'm trying to show you. You're missing
Where did I
the
say that
distinction.
they were not equal? You
So
assume that if one is uncaused and one is caused, that they're not equal. And I agree with that, but that's not what the classical position is. They don't believe that aseity is a great making property.
the Son is eternal. Colossians 1. I'm
He's
sorry, that just
eternally
doesn't make any sense.
caused. He's eternally
No, he's
caused.
eternal.
He's
Colossians 1
eternally
says
caused.
from the Father through again their economy. So you keep on mixing the economy with the ontology
Sir,
again. Like
you
you
know
just
that the
don't see
creed
that.
says eternally begotten? Do you agree with that?
Yes, I do, and I gave the distinction between the
Okay. Do you know what
ontological
it means
trinity
to
and
be
the social.
begotten? Praise, do
Say
you
it
know what
again.
it
I'm
means
sorry.
to be begotten? What does it mean to be
Yeah, to
begotten?
be generated. Yes, to be generated.
Okay, and as I just said, that Gregory of Nyssa understands begotten or generation as a type of causation. That's why he said that one is the cause of the other.
Here, let me give you I'm going to give you what Khalil actually said. This will be actually a smack in your face. So, envision eternal flame. You have the flame itself that's eternal, then the heat that's dependent on the flame itself. That doesn't mean that the flame or the heat from the flame is not eternal and ungenerated. So no, you're
Oh
just
God.
100% in air. Even this is by Khalil himself has even brought this up.
Praise, I think that you are kind of conflating things, whether intentionally or not. Started talking about eternality when we were speaking about aseity. I never said that the Son was not eternal. I said he's eternally begotten. So he exists eternally, but he's caused. You
Yes, he's
understand that?
caused in right. He's caused it in hermeneutical. Say this. You need to. This is where I'm saying you're conflating hermeneutics with or metaphysics, Jake, and like that's the best way.
Dude,
I'm trying
what
to
the hell are you talking about? What does this have to do with hermeneutics? What are you talking about?
everything that the hermeneutics is what it's not a metaphysical argument that the sun is eternally generated. So why are you making it a metaphysical
It is a
argument? The
metaphysical.
economy. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Say it again. People, I think many people will see the Aaron Jake. I think they want
Hermeneutics.
you keep on breaking up, Jake.
Can I be heard?
You keep on cracking up there. Is it just me?
No,
Yeah.
You're going in and out.
Try again, Jake.
Can you hear me now?
Better. It was better there.
Okay.
I think it's shit again. Can't hear you.
Yeah, he's gone out again.
Can you guys hear me or no?
We can now. Cut out again.
That was better.
Yeah, I said, what do you think causation is and how the word cause is functioning? You're talking about I'm making a mistake between hermeneutics and metaphysics. I don't know what you mean by that.
Right.
Causation is a metaphysical relationship. It's not a hermeneutical relationship.
So this was mentioned in Psalms 2:7. This day I've begotten thee. It's a hermeneutical declaration. That's where we got the generation of the Son. It was never supposed to be parsed out through some type of metaphysical, like understanding. That's a complete, I think, distortion of the Trinity. And this is your error.
Dude, I'm sorry, but this is so laughable that you think that there's no metaphysics behind the statement. So you're just saying, like, eternally begotten by the Father, and the church fathers speak of that as a type of causation, but there's no metaphysics behind it, right? It's just like Psalm 2:7. It's just a word that we're using and in some poetic fashion, but it has no metaphysical underpinnings. Where are you getting this idea from?
Again, I'm going to say it for the 10th time. There's a distinction between the ontological Trinity, which is metaphysics, as we're trying to discuss, and then the social Trinity, which is not metaphysics. It's never been expressed that way. It is a hermeneutical case, or it's a hermeneutical understanding of the social Trinity.
Okay, so you deny that the Son is caused by the Father.
No, I do not deny that, and I said that many times. I said I deny that there's a metaphysical case for the Son being eternally generated. That's all.
What is it?
Psalms 2:7, Hebrews, and then
Okay, so
Hebrews 1 as
if
well.
the Son is caused by the Father, right? You believe that the Father is caused by anything?
No, of course not.
Okay, but on your model, he's grounded by the essence.
Yes. Well, I'm
Right.
sorry. I kind of got distracted. Say that again. I'm sorry. I kind of got distracted.
On your model, the Father is grounded by the essence. That's what you said.
All three of them are grounded by the essence.
Exactly. So in what sense is the Son begotten by the Father? In that case, he's not. The Father is not unbegotten. He's begotten by the essence, and the Son is begotten by the essence. So you have a double problem because the Son is not begotten by the Father. He's begotten by the essence, and the Father is not unbegotten because he's likewise begotten by the essence. So your
Why are
position makes
you're
no
just
sense.
conflating it again? I just keep on repeating myself, Jake. Like, what do you do not understand when I say that the economical Trinity is not metaphysical? It's not supposed to be understood that way.
What?
I don't want us to make it clear, man. Like, am I speaking Chinese to people? Like,
Yeah, you're
what?
literally not making any sense whatsoever, dude. You're
What
just
do you not understand about the economical trinity not being expressed in metaphysical terms?
Are you
oh
saying,
my
Praise, that the
god.
persons are not
John,
metaphysical?
John, can you please
Uh,
not interrupt?
okay.
I think that's a little bit unfair praise.
Yeah. I don't dogpile on the guy. Praise. You made the statement that aseity was not meant to be understood as a hypostatic property. But then you said that the Father alone has aseity. So how does that work?
Not a satiety, no, like in the hierarchy, has a hierarchy in the Trinity. So I never said that. I don't know if I did say that, then I recant of that, and I
Okay,
apologize if I did
let
say
me
that.
make it very clear. Let me give you another quote very clearly from, again, Gregory of Nyssa ad Petrum. He says this, and this is even clearer for you. And God overall, which by the way, he's referring to the Father, and you'll see in a second, and God overall has a special property of his own hypostasis or person, being the Father and subsisting from no cause. And by this sign again, he is also individually recognized. So to be uncaused is a property of the person of the Father. And by
I
that
never
sign,
said,
he's
yeah,
individually recognized.
I never said he wasn't. Because
Yes, you did.
you're just expressing again the economy of the Trinity. You're just speaking of an economical
Oh,
term in
God.
terms. Yeah.
Dude, you literally said that aseity was not a property of the persons, it was a property of the nature. That's what you said before.
Of the essence, yes.
Yeah, but you said it was a property of the nature. I'm showing you, and you said nobody said that it was a property of the person. I'm showing you that the position was that it is a property of the person and not the essence.
No, I'm saying that you misunderstood the distinction between the hermeneutical trinity and then the ontological trinity. And when I mean hermeneutical trinity, I mean the economical trinity. You keep on conflating the two.
Oh, God. What does that have to do anything with answering my current objection?
Because when we say the Father is greater than the Son, that's a biblical model. That is not a metaphysical model.
It
Now, as
is.
far as the
It is
ousia,
metaphysical, dude. That's
no.
the point I'm trying to explain to you. Causation is metaphysical. Do you understand that?
And
How many
again, like,
different how many different quotes do you want me to read? I'll give you a consensus on the view. I can read many more quotes from people. You want more to show you it's
are you
metaphysical?
saying what school of metaphysics were you? Okay, give me the school of metaphysics where the
I'm
Trinity
telling you it's
originated
unanimous.
from.
I'm telling you it's unanimous consensus amongst Athanasius, Augustine, the Cappadocian fathers,
These,
Hilary of
this is
Poitiers,
so
all of them.
pathetic, Jake. These are theologians. These are not metaphysicians and philosophers.
They're explaining metaphysical concepts.
It's really biblical concepts. That's the issue you're not
No, it's
getting.
not. It's not. Okay, let me give you another quote from Saint Hilary. Okay, he says the Father is greater than the Son. Why? For manifestly he is greater who makes another to be all that he himself is, who imparts to the Son by the mystery of the birth the image of his own unbegotten nature, who begets him from himself into his own form. He is not the source of his own being. He is from the Father's abiding nature that the Son draws his existence through birth.
Okay. Do you know where they got that?
Yeah, I do know where they
Take
got
a
it.
guess. Take a guess where they got that from.
I do know where they got it from.
John 14.
What's your point?
It's hermeneutical. You're expressing a hermeneutical
Oh
evaluation.
God, dude. So you don't think that you think causation is hermeneutical? Where does it
Yes.
say in John 14 that the Son is caused by the Father.
Well, I know I was talking about the economy of the Trinity is expressed in John 14, but Psalms 2:7 does. That's what you just asked. So Psalms 2:7 would.
It doesn't say cause, does it?
Yeah, this day I begat you. Yeah. And then
Okay.
Hebrews 1 kind of goes into more clear. It says, well, begat meant from pre-existence, from eternity. So like Hebrews 1 expounds more on Psalms 2:7. So yeah,
Okay,
they go
so when you
together.
keep calling it hermeneutics, but then yet you're explaining begetting as causation, how are you not using metaphysical concepts or notions to express what is in the text?
I'm just expressing what the Father said about the Son, how he was eternally begotten. That's all I'm expressing. I never made a
Yeah,
metaphysical claim about that.
dude, you just said begetting means caused eternally. That's a metaphysical claim.
Or generated. Okay, so maybe if I use the wrong word there. Okay, so I mean generated.
No,
I
you're
think.
using the correct word, generation, causation, whatever you want to use. It doesn't matter. Those are metaphysical claims being made.
But I'm not reducing it to metaphysics. It might go into metaphysics, sure, but that's not how it was expressed. It was expressed in hermeneutical terms again.
Bro, you literally just said before that I was confusing metaphysics with hermeneutics. Now you're granting that it does have a metaphysical backdrop to it. And you're just saying, oh, well, the Bible mentions it. Well, I don't give a damn. The Bible mentions it fine. But it's still being explained metaphysically.
There might be a metaphysical like there could be something that metaphysics, it might like go into metaphysics, or people like try they you can say like they try to express it in metaphysical terms, but the God doesn't speak in metaphysics. That's not his language.
I know, but you just did. You just did.
I'm just
So
using
you
what the
gave,
word of God says. The Hebrew word for begat means to generate. That's all I'm saying. I'm using Hebrew.
okay, and is that void of meaning, or is that actually something that occurred in eternity past?
I don't know. Like that's something like I don't think God expresses too much. And I think the eternal flame that Khalil actually brought up kind of makes my point that the heat can still be dependent on the flame, and they both are still eternal. Like there's no problem there.
Do
Dude,
you want to wrap it up,
go ahead.
Praise?
Yeah, this is a big headache. Praise. I think your position makes absolutely no sense. Everything you said was pretty much contradictory. You tried to say that, well, the persons can be grounded by the essence and yet be ase. That makes no sense, because they're, to be grounded means to be dependent on the thing that you're grounded by. And now you started to make some historical claim about how a deity is never mentioned as a hypostatic or personal property when it is, and then you just admitted it. You said that there's no explanation or metaphysical explanation of this biblical terminology, but then you yourself are using terms like generation and causation, which
No, I was
involve
using the Hebrew
metaphysics.
Greek. Yeah, I
Everything you're saying is literally contradictory, dude. That's why I said you should honestly just take a chill pill, do some more research. I told you this nicely the other day. I don't know why you're still trying to discuss these matters.
yeah.
You
Well, can
haven't
I
done
just give
enough in
like my
studying on it.
yeah? So let me just give my last concluding response to that, then we can like open it up, whatever. So I think tonight, I tried to make it clear that that Jake tries to metaphysically reduce the Trinity in metaphysical terms, merely metaphysical terms, when the church fathers never did that. Whenever they talk about eternal generation and the Father's greater than me and things like that, we're talking in biblical terms, and that's how I made the distinction between the ontological Trinity. They're co-equal. They share the same properties. They're common properties, which grounds the essence of the Trinity. But there, yes, in the economical Trinity, there is a distinction in the hierarchy. There was a hierarchy, yes, and and that was expressed in biblical terms. Now, if some people made it metaphysical, that's their error, and I think that's what I'm trying to show, that maybe my position should be adopted rather than their position. But I'll just end it there, and I appreciate discussion, Jake. I mean, it kind of got passionate, but I didn't call you names or anything, so hopefully you didn't find it disrespectful in that regard.
Okay, John, what was the thing you were burning to butt in about? I guess we can go open now.
No, I just wanted to ask Praise I Am if he viewed the persons of the Trinity as metaphysical.
Yes, in their general shared properties, I do. That's why there is something called in even Orthodox Christianity as the ontological Trinity. The ontological Trinity does not entail the hypostases at all. And Jake tried to insinuate to me anyway. That's why I understood. Like, he tried to make it sound like, yes, they did, that they came together, but that's just not true.
Praise, can you explain what the ontological Trinity is?
Yes, that they are co-eternal. They co-indwell with each other. They're ontologically identical as far as their shared properties, like either omniscience, omnipotence, omnipresence, omnibenevolence, and that would be their shared properties or
You
their
literally just
ontology.
said before it had nothing to do with the persons. You said the ontological Trinity does not entail the persons. And then when I asked you what it was,
I
you
said the
spent a minute explaining the
hypostases. Yeah,
persons.
no.
Yeah, the hypostases are the persons, correct?
Yes, that's where it goes into the, again, I'm going to say for like the 15th time now, the economical Trinity. There's two different models, or they were together, but there's two distinct understandings of the Trinity.
John, did that make any
Uh,
sense?
Well, what didn't make sense to me is when he's saying that the persons are grounded in the essence or nature, and then the Son is begotten of not of God but of the Father, which is a person, and then by implication you would have to say that the Father is grounded in the essence as well. And I think that could be problematic.
what I think happened was that there was a little bit talking past one another because praise seems to have like a more esoteric definition of aseity, which he described as like aseity as being the attributes of God, like the omnis.
Yeah, can we get a
Right.
reference for
Yeah,
that, Danny?
that was that. I've never heard that one.
Yeah,
That
he
was
said that what I described he's never heard, and I'm asking Praise. Honestly, you need to come up with a reference for that because that's probably
Yeah.
one of the most absurd things
yeah,
I've ever
that
heard.
was pretty bad. I've never heard that before. I mean, aseity is to be self-sufficient or uncaused, right? And that's what it's meant.
Yeah,
So it seems to me that praise thinks that the Father is ase, and the Son isn't, but the essence. It's very confusing. I don't even know his view.
There's only generation within the relationship, the triune relationship, not in their ontological properties. And again, I made this distinction like 100 times. I'm not sure why you guys are not getting it. To me, it's pretty simple.
because you're talking nonsense, Praise. It doesn't make any sense. Everybody else is thoroughly confused, and nobody has any idea what you're saying other than just babbling contradictory statements.
So what makes God say is not his personhood or the hypostases. I've never heard anyone in church history ever describe the hypostatic properties defining aseity. I think that's ridiculous.
Dude, you
Because
just
if you
said
look
that.
up
I
the
just read you a quote. I literally just read you a quote that says exactly that. And now you're repeating the same nonsense.
No, I think you're kind of trying to maneuver it into there, Jake. I'm sorry, I disagree with your summation of that because not even the word aseity was even used in that quote.
Okay, what does it mean to be ase, Praise?
It is the idea that God does not depend on any other self-existence. All three of them are self-existent and non-dependent.
Okay, so when Gregory of Nyssa in Not Three Gods says, the principle of causality distinguishes then the persons of the Holy Trinity, it affirms that the one is uncaused while the other depends on the cause. Did I just pull that out of my ass, or did I read that directly?
Yes, and I gave an explanation for that. You might not accept, you might not like it, but I said that's a
Dude, you just
hermeneutical
said,
case.
no, it's not
That's
hermeneutical.
hermeneutics, Jake.
It's not hermeneutical. You just said that nobody speaks of it that way. And then I just
Not in
showed you.
metaphysics. Who says what? That doesn't make any sense. That's absolutely no sense to me what you're explaining
Bro,
in
do you know what this
metaphysical
document is
terminology.
about? Do you know what this document about, what Gregory of Nyssa was writing about in this context? Do you have any earthly idea?
Yeah, he's a theologian. It's the Bible.
Okay, what is he writing about? What's the context of it in this instance?
The scriptures.
No, has nothing to do with that.
Of course it does. He's a
No, it
theologian.
doesn't. He received a letter from a bishop named Ablabius, and Ablabius was asking him as a bishop because he was getting questions from people at the church asking him, "Well, hey, we say that the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit are all God, but yet we forbid men to say that there are three gods. Why is that?" And that's why the letter is also known as On Not Three Gods sometimes. And then Gregory goes and tries to explain to this poor Bishop Ablabius of how the Trinity is not actually three gods. And he's giving a metaphysical explanation of how that's not the case. And this
Yeah.
quote is from within that. So it's not a
So
hermeneutical or exegesis of the Bible.
where is Plato? Like, can you give me like a Greek type of school of thought here? Can you link me one? Because I still disagree, Jake. I'm sorry.
You disagree with what? You just made a claim that the church fathers didn't speak of it in this way, and
No.
that the person of the Father does not have, it's not a hypostatic property of the Father to be ase. I literally read you a quote from before which says exactly that. Gregory of Nyssa saying it is a hypostatic property in which the Father alone is individually recognized. If it was a property of the essence and all three persons share it, then he couldn't be individually recognized by it, could he?
So the quote actually says the Father has the aseities derived from the hypostatic property. You actually says that in the very quote.
Dude, do you want me to read it again? It's like, I don't know, we're probably making everybody here crazy. How many times I've had to explain this to you?
I just want to hear the words together in a chain where it says where the Father is or the aseity is derived in the hypostatic properties of the Father. Please go ahead.
Okay. And God over all has a special property of his person, being the Father, and subsisting from no cause. And by this sign again, he is individually recognized. So it's a personal
He's
property of the Father to be uncaused, and he's individually recognized by it. If it was a property of the nature that was shared amongst the persons, then he couldn't be individually recognized by it, could he?
He's individually recognized in far as contextually, not some type of metaphysical understanding. It's stupid.
So what do you think causation is, dude? You think causation is not metaphysical? What is it?
In the Bible, it's in the Hebrew. It means to beget. It means to generate. That's what the Hebrew says. That's what I'm
Praise.
appealing to.
Praise. Is causation metaphysical or is it hermeneutical?
It's both, but I'm saying in the Bible, that's way it's expressed merely biblically, though.
Oh God! All right, well, this is
All
just
right.
rehashing
Okay.
of the same foolishness. Just
Anyone
let's
else want to
call
jump
it a
in?
day.
Tangelo, how's your Trinity knowledge? I see you there.
I'm eating.
Okay. Okay, fair enough.
I do have a question for Jake, though.
I'm eating.
I do know a lot of Protestants that do believe that the deity of God is in the essence, and not necessarily in the Father, and so maybe praise is like one of those as well. But you and I talked at one time about John Calvin, and I think there was a book that he wrote. It was called The Deity of the Son. We didn't really conclude on that conversation. I
He
just thought
didn't.
it was
He didn't.
interesting.
He didn't write that book. Somebody else wrote it about Calvin's view on the aseity of the Son.
Okay,
I think his name is Brannon Ellis, or something like that.
okay,
Yeah.
and so that guy is claiming that the Son is ase. Would that be correct? And it aligns with Calvin's views. Would that be correct?
So Calvin, in my understanding, and I think what this Calvinist expert is saying as well, is that Calvin, for some reason or another, wanted the verbal proclamation of the Son being auto theos, or basically ase, God in and of himself. He wanted this basically verbal proclamation of this. Um, but the reality is, he did not believe that the person of the Son was uncaused. So, I mean, I can read you quotes from Calvin saying exactly this.
Is there a contradiction if you believe that the Son is caused, but also the Son is ase? Is it possible to reconcile logically?
No, if you mean to be ase is to just be uncaused, that's like saying he's caused and uncaused. It makes no sense.
Yes, that's exactly my position. Thank you, John. That's my position.
That's
No,
exactly your
you're not alone in
position.
that position, Praise. But I think you were in
What
error
the
when you
hell?
said no one holds that view. A lot of Eastern Orthodox
So,
today
Praise, you're
do
saying
hold
that the
that view.
Son is both caused and uncaused.
Abso-freaking-lutely.
Can you explain that?
Yeah. So in what we call the my brain is kind of getting all muddled right now. The economical Trinity. Yes, that's a biblical model. This is way I was trying to say, like, in this one, my discussion with you is trying to express it that way. That the economical Trinity is expressed in a relational, like a relationship, a biblical relationship that God has revealed to us. Now, it might, go into it might, for some philosophers, it might borderline go into metaphysics, but it's not meant to be a metaphysical argument. That was my claim. So from eternity as creator in his properties of aseity, being creator, omniscience, omnipresence. This is in Colossians 1. Then he's uncaused. But in their relationship, their eternal relationship, yes, he's cause and he's subservient to the Father. And that's my position. But if you want to refute it, I didn't see any good refutations tonight. But I'm still open for it, though.
Praise, you didn't see any refutations tonight?
Nope.
No. Did anybody else? I'm just curious.
How is Jesus caused by the Father? I didn't understand that.
In their eternal relationship, in their economy, it's called the economical Trinity.
In their what?
No, it's not. Praise, that's not what the
Economy.
economic Trinity is.
Look, I don't care about these names and titles and history and shit. I want the fucking how. Like, this is a bunch of garbage.
Praise, do you know what
That
the
God the
economic Trinity is?
Father, the economical Trinity is how the
No, no, no.
The
I want the
hierarchy of
how. I don't
it's
want
a
you to explain
hierarchy.
that it is the how. Explain the
You mean
how.
a mechanism? Is
Yeah,
that what you're
that's
asking?
right.
A mechanism? That's like asking, what's the mechanism for the laws of logic? So there is no mechanism for the laws of logic. That's a
So you're just saying
categorical
it's
error in the
irreducible
first
and you're going to
place.
tap out?
I didn't tap it. I'm just showing you don't understand what the hell you're talking about.
So,
Dude, you keep appealing to hermeneutical anytime you get, pinned down. Is that your just go-to word that you say when you have nothing else to say?
I'm just giving the truth. If he I mean, I still haven't found a refutation of it. So you're gonna have to give me a hermeneutical refutation,
Dude, you
Jake.
just you
In
just
other words,
affirmed a contradiction. You said that the sun is both caused and uncaused simultaneously.
and I explained that. So the
Wait,
Father
your
declared
explanation
there's a
made no
hierarchy. Hermeneutically. So this hierarchy was demonstrable hermeneutically. No one just thought up one day, hey, there's a God in heaven, and yeah, there's a metaphysical distinction there. I'm just going to make this up. And then, no, I'm sorry, Jake. That's not how
Actually,
it
they
works.
did. That was the whole point. That was the whole point
Wait,
of the
how is that not a
doctrine itself.
contradiction?
So
Dude,
so
that
so
was
let me try to
literally the
steel man
whole
you.
point.
Yeah, let me try to steel man you praise. You're saying that hermeneutically he is caused, but metaphysically he's uncaused. Is that what you're trying to say?
Which
Correct.
amounts
Correct.
to, oh, the Bible says he's caused, but that's just a word we use as some poetic phrase, but it has no metaphysical import and he's not actually metaphysically caused. That's your claim.
No, I'm saying that God chose to express him in a theological way, his eternal generation and his
Dude, was he
subservience
literally
to the
caused or
Father.
not? Was he actually caused or not? Or is that just a word that you slap
Scripturally,
on?
yes. Yes. That's
No,
a
no, no, no.
hierarchy of the
In
Trinity.
eternity past, in reality, was he actually caused or not?
No, not from eternity. Well, that's like I get you a question. Yes, well, because he was eternally begotten. So what do you mean by that?
Exactly, which is a metaphysical concept.
No, it's from his. Okay, I'll put it this way. Maybe this will help a little bit. So from his foreknowledge, how about that? Does that make a distinction, Jake?
No, I think what would help if you defined that you know what metaphysics is.
Hold on, am I hearing this correctly? You say that the sun is both caused and uncaused. Is that so?
Yes.
What?
So
Twice
in the
that?
mind of
What?
Is that
Okay,
is that in the
how can
same
you reconcile
sense?
that?
Hold on a sec. This is an important question. Is that in the same sense or different sense?
they are different senses. Yeah.
See what I mean, guys? You guys have to really do better. Do better, guys.
That's what Jake was doing. What are you talking about?
I was just exposing how it doesn't make any sense. What he's basically saying is, oh, we're using the word cause, but he wasn't actually caused. That's what it amounts to. Oh, we can say he was caused because the Bible supposedly says it, but we don't actually believe that he was metaphysically caused by the Father.
He was
That's what you're
causing the
saying, Praise.
foreknowledge of God. Yes.
He was caused by the foreknowledge of God?
Yes, in the knowledge of God beforehand, it's called foreknowledge. He was begotten from eternity. So it was always in the foreknowledge of God. So you ask for a
What does
mechanism
that
or
even
something.
mean? What does that even
What is
mean?
that? Yeah, what are you talking about,
Always in the
dude?
foreknowledge, caused but uncaused. Like, what the
How is
fuck?
the person
So
of the
God, I'm
Son
sorry, Jesus
It's
in
like
the
was
saying like it's
foreknowledge of the
say,
caused.
Father?
it sounds like when someone says like Zeus was born of chaos, like Jesus was born from the foreknowledge of God
See,
or something like that. It's just like
you're
it's just
looking at it in
gibberish.
linear terms. This is the problem with Jake, too. He's looking at it in a linear perspective. That's
No, I'm
not how the
not. I said
Bible is
eternally
expressed.
begotten many times, dude. I said eternally begotten many times.
And
I
I'm
know
Fraser,
what
reading.
it means.
I don't know what you're talking about, really.
If you don't know what
Okay.
I'm talking about, Otangelo, then I guess you don't know the basics of Trinitarian theology.
Yeah, I don't
Seems
understand
like
what
being
it means
a
that God, that Jesus is caused and non-caused. That
Do you know the
confuses.
Nicene Creed, Otangelo?
No, I don't.
Okay, well, there you go.
Really? You don't know the Nicene Creed?
Not in my mind right now.
Do you know it, John?
Yeah, we recite it every.
Otangelo doesn't concern himself with the heresy of men. He only reads the Bible.
Yeah, no, that's fine. But anyway, praise, you're going back to this example of the Son being begotten in the foreknowledge of the Father, right? That's what you said.
Right. Yeah.
So
It was a
is
conceptual Trinity. Yeah, it's conceptual.
the Trinity is conceptual?
Yes.
Whoa.
What?
The begetting of the Son is conceptual.
Dude, this is like the gift that keeps on giving. You just said the Trinity is conceptual.
I'm
So
trying
it's
to explain it.
right.
So you asked for you asked for why it would be like how could Jesus be have an origin point or have a beginning and not and be to be eternal at the same time.
Nobody
Well,
ever asked
yes,
that.
that
Wait a minute, Praise. You said the persons of the Trinity were metaphysical. That's one of the
He
questions
no,
just
I
I
said
have.
it's
said that they're
conceptual.
theologically expressed. the Yeah, I mean, you guys are not following at all. This is the problem. So the economy, the
Oh, the
how
problem
the
is that
economy of the Trinity is expressed.
nobody understands what you're claiming, Praise. That's the problem.
Right, that is the problem.
This is
I
like
just think
the most
I think
heretical version of the Trinity I've ever heard.
how is it heretical? So you're denying there's a social Trinity and an ontological Trinity? How is that heretical?
I said the
You
Trinity
said
was
it was
conceptual. That's
conceptual.
heretical.
I said the generation of the Son is
No,
conceptual.
you said the Trinity
No, you said
itself
the
was
What does that
Trinity.
even mean?
conceptual.
No, I didn't. I never said that. No.
Yes, you did, Praise.
Nope.
That
I
was
never
what
said
Jake
that.
asked you. Maybe you're like drunk or something and you were just like responding without thinking.
I'll pay $50 if Tom Rabbit. I'll pay you $50 if I said the Trinity is conceptual. I said the Son was.
Oh
Tom,
fuck!
pull it
Oh,
up.
All
He
right,
oh,
all right,
said
all
it.
right,
Oh
all right, all right, all
no!
right. Just to be clear, just to be clear, just to be
I think
clear.
you may have
If Jake
misspoke.
says, if Jake asks you something like, "Is the Trinity conceptual?" and you say yes, that also qualifies, correct?
No, the specific question when I was addressing is how can the Son be eternal and not eternal at the same time, or have a beginning
Well,
and
that would
not a
just be a
beginning?
different question, right? But that's not. But I'm not
Tom, it
asking if you
wasn't
say
like that
yes to a
anyway.
different question.
He literally
Okay.
said the Trinity is conceptual, verbatim.
Okay, I'll look. I'll be
I
back. I'll be
think
back and
Yeah,
and
I want to.
get the
I'll give you
get the
$50 if
$50.
you can
Yeah, all
find that.
right, cool. That's great. And
Oh my
I'm gonna buy
god.
5. I'm gonna five. You know what I'm gonna do if I get the money? I'm gonna buy 5 homeless people Subway sandwiches.
Tom, it
Yes.
was literally within the past
Here
I
we
5 minutes,
go.
by the way.
okay.
Yeah,
I'll be back.
I
I'll
think
be
you
back.
misspoke, Grace. I think
It probably only get you 4 foot longs though,
So
Tom.
Praise,
Just to let
here's
you know.
what I want. I don't want any money, but if Tom brings that up and he plays it, do you promise to stop talking about the Trinity and actually go and do some research?
I've done research. I don't. What do you mean research on what?
Cause
Like, what do
dude,
you mean?
you've been all over the place, contradicting yourself left and right, spewing absolute
How?
nonsense for the past
You guys
almost
just
two
don't
hours.
understand what I'm saying. It's like I'm like
yes.
it's like I'm
Nobody
the.
understands what you're saying, Praise. That's correct.
No,
All
I
right.
understand it. It's just nonsense.
Yeah,
You're
I
literally
think
contradicting yourself.
I think he knows what he's trying to. I think I know what he's trying to say, but I just don't think it will actually make sense in the way that he's trying to explain it.
Right. So at
Make
least
sense of
John
that.
understands. At least John
Yeah, make
understands.
Yeah,
sense of
no,
what John just said.
he's trying to say he's trying to say hermeneutically caused, but not
Okay, I'm ready. You
metaphysically
ready?
caused. But to explain what that means, I think you go back and forth for metaphysics,
Yeah,
and I
hold on,
You
think
know
All right,
Tom.
I'm
what,
ready.
John?
Hold
That
Is
on.
everyone
sounds
else
like
ready? Can I
Hold
just
on.
something
play
you would
Hold on
this?
to
say.
tape.
You want me to play it or not? Listen,
Play it.
I have not listened to it. I'm just gonna play it straight up. Here we go.
Of the Son being begotten in the foreknowledge of the Father, right? That's what you said.
Right. Yeah.
So
The
is
Son. Conceptual Trinity. Yeah, it's conceptual.
the
Conceptual Trinity. Yeah, it's conceptual. It was a
is the
conceptual Trinity. Yeah, it's conceptual. It was a
is the
conceptual Trinity. Yeah, it's conceptual. It was a conceptual Trinity. Go to the previous part, though.
So
Hold on. It was a go right before that. Yeah, it's conceptual. It was a conceptual Trinity. Yeah, it's conceptual. It was a conceptual Trinity. Yeah, it's conceptual.
The Trinity
is
conceptual?
God.
But Tom, did you hear what I said beforehand? Go right
Wait, no,
before
but there's
that.
some clarification.
Conceptual?
Yes.
Trinity is conceptual?
Yes.
Trinity is conceptual?
Was the Trinity
Yes.
conceptual?
Trinity
was
is
conceptual even?
Yes.
The Trinity is
Okay.
conceptual?
Really?
Yes.
The
I
Trinity
didn't
is
hear you the first
conceptual?
785
Yes.
fucking times.
Trinity is conceptual?
Yes.
Trinity is
Getting boring now.
conceptual?
Getting
Yes.
boring now.
The Trinity is
Getting
conceptual?
boring now.
Praise,
Yes.
explain yourself.
Trinity is
Getting
conceptual?
boring now.
Yes.
Whoa.
What?
The
beginning
what I was
of the
saying, hold
sun
on,
is
conceptual. There you go. That's
Dude,
that's
you know the
exactly what I
Nicene
was
Creed,
explaining.
Arcangelo?
I
Oh, the
I
Nicene.
think the praise that
Cost and non-cost.
Can
You
we
know
just
the
hear from
Nicene Creed,
Praise?
Arcangelo?
Because
Yeah, I
Why
think
did
I'm
you
going to
say the
tell you
Trinity is
why. I'm going to
conceptual?
tell you why this is not
What?
merit $50 because when I said conceptual
Oh, he's
Trinity,
welching.
I hold on. Let me just say that you guys could
Wow,
disagree. Was
you're
with the
praise, you're a cheap.
economical Trinity is conceptual. There you go.
Wow, he
what?
I'm
welched,
sorry,
you
praise, because
fucking
you
What?
said
slimy scumbag.
praise. Look, you're a
Praise,
friend,
you
buddy,
are a
but you
cheap
said that
bastard.
you said you never uttered the words that it was conceptual, but then you did, and then Jake asked you, and you said yes. You can say now, hey, I meant this, but you did say it, which was part of the bet. And the reason why I'm pressing you is Tom's committed to buying 5 homeless people
Yeah.
Subway subs from this. So I'm just encouraging you,
That's
bite the bullet,
true.
pay up, and let's feed the
I
homeless.
do have a commitment to helping the homeless. Something that
Unbelievable.
I truly, really have a passion for.
Oh my goodness.
This will
Unbelievable.
this
That's
hopefully
amazing.
will bring my Subway sandwich tally up to $70.
Wow.
$70.
Wow, that's
Is
amazing.
that tuna?
7
No, I'll be
Subway
a man.
sandwiches for the
I'll pay up. I'm just saying you missed.
I'm like
maybe I
the
should have elaborated more. That's all.
I'm like Jared from Subway if he were like mixed with Robin Hood.
Wait,
I like buy the Subway sandwiches and then give them
you don't
to the
Right,
poor.
want to
and if he
be like
wasn't
Jared
Without the diddling,
without
Haiti.
the pedo
Yeah, Jared from
stuff.
Subway was a pedophile. You don't want to. You don't
Okay,
want to
you know what?
do that.
Scratch that.
Without
No,
without
never
that
mind
part.
that. Never mind. I'm just
right.
I'm more like Robin Hood. I'm like more like Robin Hood. That sounds better.
The Robin Hood of sandwiches.
Is Jared a pedophile?
So, just out of curiosity, John, how many Subway sandwiches have you bought for the poor?
Probably over 100.
Lies.
Wow.
You
Anyway,
lying
are you
sack
sending
of
via Cash
shit.
App, Praise?
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Okay,
Can you send me like private message me your tag? Yeah.
Yeah, I can do that.
It's no proof.
And
Praise, can we
John,
do
you
that
would
again?
agree. I just want to ask John, Lee, you would agree that in the end of this, it is a good thing because at least 5 people are going to get to eat, right?
Well, you're talking to a person that would also say it's a good thing if 5 people don't get to eat, James. So, I mean, you could.
What a terrible person.
Oh my god.
So the Son was conceived conceptually from God's foreknowledge. That's all I was trying to convey. So I kind of got mixed up with the words there. I kind of should have maybe elaborated more what I was talking about, but yeah, but that's what I originally meant, though. Anyway,
It's been a long night for you, praise. I think you should just take the L and just mute up.
Can we just
what L? Like, what are you even talking, dude? You didn't even respond to my arguments. Like, you're just whining and crying. That's all it was tonight, Jake. Was just a bunch of whining and crying.
Dude, you didn't even understand what you yourself said. And then you're wondering why half the room had no idea what you were talking about.
Even
You don't
John
even remember
Lee
what you said.
understands what I'm trying to argue. Why, if
I
John Lee
expressed what
understands
John
it,
Lee
why the
said
hell can
20 minutes
you?
ago. I expressed what
Let's
John
just
Lee said 20
what do you
minutes
mean
ago.
even
let's
John
just
Lee?
say I
Wow.
understand what
I'm
you're
just
trying
kidding,
to
John.
say.
I'm just kidding,
No,
John.
I understand what you're trying to say.
Yeah, that doesn't actually make sense to say even John Lee understands, because when you say even John Lee understands, you're pointing to someone who has like poor understanding skills and saying like even this person with poor understanding skills understands, and therefore you ought to understand it. But I don't know if you know this, but John Lee ranked extremely high on a tiered list of people that were ranked about listening skills. So it doesn't make sense to say even John Lee.
I was
From a
just kidding with
highly
John. He knows I'm
credentialed
kidding.
source.
But I mean, listen, Praise said very clearly he's not talking about cause and not cause in the same sense at the same time. He literally said
It's like,
that, and you guys are pretending he's
Thank
violating
you.
the law of non-contradiction.
yeah, that's like
No, and I
it's like saying
explained why
Yeah,
even
you're
Michael
adding
Jordan.
context, stupid.
It's like saying even Michael Jordan scored a basket. I mean, it's just like, what do you mean even Michael Jordan? What are you talking about?
Does John even remember what the bet was about?
Can someone explain to me this caused and uncaused not in the same time? What is that? What is that even about?
Praise is just saying we can say that the sun is caused. We can use it as like a hermeneutical or poetic expression because it's mentioned in the Bible, but we don't actually mean it literally. That's basically what he's saying.
Right.
Right, which is bullshit. As I explained to you, that's not the doctrine of the Trinity, and that's not how it was understood. And that was the whole point of me reading all those quotes. You said, "Oh, nobody understood it that way." In fact, everybody did up until the 17th century.
I would disagree with that.
Okay,
I'm
then.
shocked.
Well, you're just wrong.
I'm
and
just really
I
glad.
refute you.
You know what? I just want to
How
let